Stein. How much time do you need? Do you need like 4 minutes?
Can you do it in 2.5?
We're on a schedule.
I don't know that I got to do it. Wow. Wow. You know, that might work for the other 4, but you don't want to.
Oh, yeah. It is a public hearing. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened to my, oh, easy come, easy go.
All right. Let's call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do the cheerleader thing. I like that.
I'll make
A motion to approve the agenda.
There's a motion by Councilmember Henry and seconded by Councilmember Monroe. Do you agree to that?
Sure.
All right. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do we have any resident comments and/or questions for anything that is not on our agenda this evening? Rhino, anything? All right. Presentations and reports, of which we have none. We have a public hearing. 6.1, or tax increment district and plan Trident Development. Mr. Steinman, I think we need a motion to open the public hearing. Oh, wait, you have to present your slides first. Go ahead. What the?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Purpose
Mr.
of the
Steinman.
presentation this evening is to provide an overview of the Trident Housing District Project number, TIF District number 1-10. Good slide here. So you've seen these slides before, but as I just discussed, the public audience may be a little bit different, so bear with me as I go through some of this detail.
You're feeling the pressure there, weren't you?
So we'll provide a brief overview of tax increment financing. I'll outline the development scenario. We'll look at the project boundaries, how this qualifies as a housing TIF district, some of our assumptions for this development and our TIF projections, the budget authority within the plan, and then next steps. So TIF is a method of capturing tax base growth that results from new development, and then moving those tax dollars back into the development. So it captures new local taxes. That's called the increment, to pay for the public improvements that are related to the development. There's a fixed term for capturing the taxes, and then after that fixed term it matures, then the new development is added to the tax base. It's defined by state statute in 469. It's a gap financing tool, so it finances that part of the project that other conventional means that can't be financed by other conventional means, bank, etc. Depending upon the year that the district is created, there are a number of different compliance requirements, and they change year to year. It's mostly used by cities and counties, and it provides an incentive for development to occur. These are the 5 different types of tax increment districts. There's a redevelopment district where you have a concentration of blight and substandard buildings. That has a term of 25 years. There's a renewal and renovation district with less blight and less concentration of blight. That has a term of 15 years. The proposed district here is a housing district. It will enable low and moderate income housing. That has a term of 25 years. And then there's a soils condition district and economic development district as well. These are typical eligible costs in a tax increment district. public improvements, land acquisition, soil correction, preparation, demolition, which occurs in this case, relocation, financing fees, capitalized interest, and administrative costs. And these are public improvement costs that are not public improvement costs that are allowed. Streets and roads, utilities, bridges, parking, sidewalks, etc. All soft cost engineering, architecture related to any of those public improvements. There are two primary ways that cities can finance project costs using tax increment. There's a pay-as-you-go method. That is where the developer, and that is what is being proposed in this case as well, that is where the developer pays for the public improvements up front, and then over time they're reimbursed by generation of tax increment. And the reimbursement is limited to the amount of tax increment that's collected. Second way is general obligation tax increment bonds. We're obviously discussing that on a different project. Tax increment has to cover at least 20% of the debt service, and you would have an obligation to levy for debt for the debt service if necessary. There would be a minimum assessment agreement, and it may all result in taxable bonds. So two methods to finance project costs. How is a district created? There first comes the development district, which is an overarching statutory authority that gives you the ability to create tax increment districts within the development district. Your development district is coterminous with your city limits. So each time we go through a tax increment district plan, we have to modify the development district to allow you to create the plan within it. Then there's the TIF district. That is what we're discussing this evening. There's a TIF plan associated with the TIF district, which is in your packet. A budget is a very important part of the TIF plan, the boundary map, and the TIF plan obviously describes the purpose of the tax increment district. There's a public hearing, which we're at now, and then there's the certification process after your consideration and approval. The process is about 60 days. It includes notification to the county and school district and includes sending them a tax increment financing plan, asking for their comments that would be included in the public hearing, publication of the hearing notice, review by planning commission, and this hearing. I'm one slide ahead of myself there. The proposed TIF project, developer Trident, represented here today, is proposing the redevelopment of the former bus garage site to a senior housing facility that is proposed to contain 70 senior living units, a mix of independent, memory care assisted units, and the building would include a common dining room, kitchen, admin offices, fitness room, and outdoor recreation area. And as I said, Trident is represented here tonight, so if you have questions about the project, be happy to answer them. And in addition, the developer is undertaking the demolition of the former bus garage, the soil corrections, and whatever remediation would be required there, and other site costs related to development. This is the project boundary at 6th and Lylewood Parkway. And these are the housing TIF district qualifications. So the housing TIF district is one of those 5 districts that I described earlier on. The primary qualification for a housing TIF district is the type of project that will go in the district. Will need to comply with either 20% of the units to be rented, to be occupied by persons with incomes no greater than 50% of county median, or 40% of the total units occupied by persons with incomes no greater than 60%.
Paul, could I interrupt you really quickly and just ask the developer just a quick question as we go as it pertains, or would you like to get through it
No.
Okay, I just have a quick question on a reporting structure. I know that the TIF district qualifications with housing requires the two ethers here. Is that, obviously you've done this before, is that something that's a report that you provide to us without asking? Is that a report that you provide to us yearly? How does that, just walk me through that. I've never done a 26-year TIF agreement, so.
Mr. Mayor, I might be able to answer that.
Please, yeah. Yeah, we don't want
So
them
each,
to,
yeah,
he's on a roll.
sure, if you want. They're going to provide us a report every year in order to maintain certification of the tax increment district.
Okay, that's not something that we go and we don't have to monitor that other than getting the report.
Right, they'll provide us a report that shows that they're meeting, I believe they're intending to meet the 40% at 60. So they'll provide us a report each year that shows how they've met that in
Got it.
all of their 70 units.
Perfect. My only question was on the reporting structure. Introduce yourself.
I am, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Patrick Brammo with Trident Development. I'm here with Scott O'Brien, my colleague with Trident Development. Yeah, I think we're on point as far as the reporting process goes. And just to clarify, we are targeting the first rule, the first option, 20% at 50% AMI.
Okay. So do you have to delineate which you're hitting? Or can you just say, okay, we're hitting this at the end? Okay, all right. He's done this before. All right. Thank you.
Good. So these are the TIF district assumptions and our development assumptions. Again, 70 senior living units of varying size. We estimated, along with some validation by the Carver County Assessor, that these would have a value of about $165,000 per unit. The TIF plan doesn't assume any market value inflation, so we're just assuming that $165,000 a unit times 70 for 25 years is the value. You will retain from the tax increment generated 10% of the total for administrative costs. The eligible TIF tax rate is 122.556. That doesn't change through the life of the district. That's the number that's the percentage that generates the TIF amount, and your first receipt of increment will be delayed until 2021 based upon the construction starting and being completed in 2019. And the final receipt is actually 26 total receipts all the way through 2046. This is an important part of your TIF plan where we estimate the expenses and the revenues associated with this TIF district. Here, I like to start at the bottom and say the total tax increment to be generated based upon the value that I discussed on the previous page, $4.5 million. Your 10% of that is $450,000. This is all the way through 26 years of collection. Interest on the pay-as-you-go note that has yet to be negotiated, $1.7 million and something, 7 and change. And the actual costs that you are proposing to, or that the developer is proposing to be reimbursed for, $2,331,000. And the tax increment, obviously the expenses are somewhat worked around the revenue. So the revenue estimated is at $4,500,000. These are the proposed development agreement terms, and again tonight, for your consideration is to consider a resolution creating the tax increment district. The development agreement with these actual terms and legalese will come back before you, I believe, on the 15th of October, or at a later date, yet to be decided. Later date yet to be decided. But these are the proposed development agreement terms. The development agreement, again, will be drafted and come back to you for consideration at a later meeting. It contemplates reimbursing the developer for $2,331,300 in eligible site improvements, eligible expenditures related again to demolition, the infrastructure improvement, contamination, other expenses as outlined in the statute. Reimbursement of the TIF note will occur from 90% of the increment because the city retains 10% to pay administrative costs. And beyond what you agree to, you have no obligation to satisfy any shortfall. In the event that the market value decreases or something changes that impacts the amount of tax increment generated. And the developer would also propose to receive a reimbursement for interest on their costs. Again, they're funding their costs up front. The pay-as-you-go note is over a period of time, and through that period of time, there would be an interest component associated with the pay-go note. And reimbursement in this case could go to 26 total periods. The way that we have discussed it at this point is limited to a slightly shortened time period, 21 years, for them to obtain the amounts that they're requesting. And simply the next steps here today to adopt the resolution approving the TIF plan for Housing TIF District number 1-10, and then at a future meeting to review the development agreement, which includes the points on the previous page. I'm happy to take questions.
All right. Thank you for that brief summation. I think the public thanks you as well. Council, questions, comments?
In the unfortunate case that, let's say, the business after 10 years went under, then looking to the next owner of the business there, we would have the choice then to either close the TIF district or carry it on to the future business? Or does this strictly just stick with the original?
So that's a bit more of a legal question, but I think I've seen in the past, typically the business in a TIF district, like a business like this, and a housing project, doesn't go away altogether. If there's a resale or if there's a sale to another party, which would typically occur, then that tax increment agreement comes, it could automatically go to the new owner, or we can put in the pay-as-you-go agreement that it would have to come back before council to be approved to go to the next ownership. So typically that's how I've seen it done, is it comes back to council. If there's a sale in year 10, the tax increment pay-as-you-go note would come back to council before it can be provided to the next owner. The benefits of that can go to the next owner. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And once the TIF district expires, the property can be sold and used for anything?
Correct.
I think it makes sense to have something in there to the fact of if there was a sale and it moved on to another, business, the same one or something else, that we would review it again at that point.
I'll make a note of that, yeah.
Come on up.
We know you're going to be very successful.
Oh, thank you. But for the record, we've been doing this for about 15 years, and to date, we have sold 0 assisted livings that we've developed. So we intend to come into your town and build a project that you're all proud of, and we're proud of, and our residents that end up living there are proud of, and then we intend to hold it for a long period of time.
Are you an owner?
Of the building?
No, of the company that is developing this.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we just develop projects for our own account. We don't develop for other folks.
Sure.
So we develop a project, we own it as a group. The management company that will manage the day-to-day operations of the project will be one of the owners as well. There's always us, and
Yep.
there's always them in our projects.
Sure. No, that makes total sense.
Can I ask you a question about in the future? When the TIF district expires, what do you plan to do with properties like this?
Keep them.
Keep them affordable?
Well, typically that is what ends up happening, is you still have that component of 20 to 30% of your residents that are kind of in that category.
And that's kind of generic, isn't it? I mean, like that's not a targeted audience. That just happens.
Depends on the market. Sometimes it's more than that.
Very, very rarely is it less than that, though, is it?
Depends on the market.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, we have a couple buildings where it's much less than that.
Where are they?
Edina?
Okay. Okay. So moved.
Thank you for those answers.
What's that? No, we're getting there. We can have questions. I am opening the public meeting, so if anybody here has questions, or if you'd like to text Brent Merrick on our, I'm kidding. I know, Larry. So we have an open public meeting. We have communications. Does anybody from our public have any comments, questions? Sensing no. I'm going to leave it open for another, minute and a half. Yeah, ask away.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh,
I was just going to make the motion, but you want to leave it open?
no, we should, just in case somebody decides to walk in.
Should we finish the rest of the agenda?
Yeah,
while
let's
we're at it?
finish the rest of it since there's really not much here and we'll come back to it.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll
as the
second.
most recent agenda.
There's a motion by Councilmember Monroe, seconded by Councilmember Mock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we're on to unfinished business, which we have none. No new business. City Council communications. Monroe.
I do not have anything.
Johnson.
Wait, except
Monroe.
sorry. Except to invite the public to come to the candidate forum on Thursday evening here at Church by the River, 7 o'clock. Always a good time.
Councilmember Johnson.
Tomorrow night is the fire department's open house from 5 until 8. That is always a good time.
Yes.
Yeah, that one is actually
That
always
one's
a good
truly,
time.
no matter what side you're sitting on.
That is not Wednesday. It's gonna be-
You done?
Yep.
Mock.
Aaron, do we have an HPC meeting next week?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hank.
We have a,
Yes.
Aaron. Anything you'd like to add?
No, thank
Okay.
I'm not done.
Oh, get after it.
With the oncoming deer hunting season, I wish everybody in the public, when they're down walking the river bottoms, please wear your blaze orange. There will be many hunters down there after water recedes.
Well, I wish that they're very observant.
Brent, do you have anything you'd like to add? Vicky? Mr. France? Nothing? Andrew? Brian? I have nothing.
What about Ryan? Maybe Ryan wants to.
Ryan,
have
you got
something.
anything you want to throw in there? All right, my brother. All right, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Monroe,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 152-18, establishing tax increment financing housing, District Number 1 through 10, within Development District Number 1, and approving the tax increment financing plan therefore.
There's a motion by Councilmember Monroe,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Johnson. Motion and a second. Any further discussion, comments? Welcome aboard. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Get building. All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second, seconded by Councilmember Henry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. 26 years.